DC fans, I don't know what we need to do. What's going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, I was literally done editing a video talking about the exciting new direction the DC games have to look forward to after the meeting that James Gunn and Peter Safran held for DC Studios, where they talked about a lot of game announcements, a lot of the future when it comes to movies, TV shows, and pretty much everything DC. And then today, this very morning, right as I was about to hit export and upload, guess what? We also have some terrible news as well. Before we get to all of that, just a quick word here. If you guys can, please show some support by hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I had to scrap the entirety of the last video and re-record all of this. So if you can, please leave a like, share the video with a fellow DC Games fan. That would be very much appreciated. Without further ado, let's dive on in. So, what am I talking about? Well, if you don't know, DC Studios held a big giant meeting where they flew in and had a bunch of different media over there to both hear announcements about the movies, about the TV shows, and yes, even the video game. Now, as part of this entire process, they essentially talked about a philosophy change at DC. Prior to this, everything was kind of being made on its own, and there was very little conversations being had between the different departments. Meaning that the TV shows were being made on their own, the movies were being made on their own, and the video games were being made on their own. Now, those walls have crumbled down, and they are actually working together, having meetings where they talk about things to make sure that there's some level of synergy between the three different departments to make sure that, let's say if there's a Superman movie coming out, hey, maybe it would be a really good idea to release a Superman game sometime soon after that or before that, to have a little bit of marketing synergy between the two different departments. That makes perfect sense. In fact, it's kind of head scratching as to why that wasn't the case to begin with, but regardless, the point being is that James Gunn and Peter Safran say, yes, going forward, that is our plan, that is what we want to do. Now, fast forward less than 48 hours after that particular meeting, we have the announcement of the shutdown and the cancellation of the Wonder Woman video game, as well as the studio that was developing said Wonder Woman video game, Monolith Productions. The game is canceled. Those $100 million that they've already spent in the game, yep, you can just flush those right down the toilet. And the studio, most importantly, the people that were working in the studio have all been laid off, as the studio will be shutting down altogether. Now, those weren't the only shutdowns. Apparently, they will also go ahead and, in addition to shutting down Monolith Productions, they're going to shut down one of their smaller studios, which is WB San Diego, the team that used to work on a bunch of like free-to-play and mobile games, as well as Player First Games, who is most famous for developing MultiVersus. Of course, that game we knew was going to be shutting down, but there were rumors saying that MultiVersus might be revived as an actual full release game, kind of like Super Smash Bros. By Player First Games down the line. There were rumors of people saying that Player First Games might be developing a DC Rivals game similar to Marvel Rivals, which we'll talk about in just one moment. And there were even rumors about them altogether working on a brand new game for DC in the future. Now, that is not to say that it is all bad news, because again, if we rewind the clock from today, that DC Studios meeting that was being helmed by Peter Safran and James Gunn, there was some exciting stuff being talked about there when it comes to the DC gaming franchise. I mean, they specifically named Rocksteady as one of the studios that James Gunn and Peter Safran have met up with and talked about the future of what they should be developing, as well as trying to make sure that the synergy between the movies and the video games exists. That's obviously pretty cool, and we'll talk about announcements around Rocksteady in just one moment as well, because there's even more news when it comes to them specifically. They talked about and specifically mentioned NetherRealm as another studio that James Gunn and Peter Safran have met up with and talked about, hey, what could we do for the DC franchise going forward? And for those that are not aware, obviously NetherRealm is most famous probably for making Mortal Kombat, but if you're a DC nerd like I am, you'd probably know that they are the developer of Injustice 1 and 2, as well as the mobile game. So that is pretty freaking exciting. The fact that we might finally get a new Injustice game, or as I've been hoping, maybe an Injustice-like game, but based on the Dark Knights of Steel comic book series, just because I feel like the grittiness of NetherRealm, like they usually make more kind of gritty and mature games, lends itself really well to the concept and idea behind the Dark Knights of Steel. I think that would be pretty fantastic going forward. Heck, James Gunn was literally asked point blank by one of the media people at this event, "You've probably seen the success of Marvel Rivals. Would you like to see a similar sort of game being developed for DC?" To which James Gunn said, "Yes, absolutely. That would be really cool to see." I will say that for me personally, the fact that you don't have a game like this in development already, I would personally stay away from trying to make one of these games going into the future, just because I feel like it would take probably 5 or 6 years to develop a game like that, by which point, who knows if hero shooters are even going to be popular. And then in addition to that, I don't know how much of an audience there would be for a carbon copy of Marvel Rivals with DC characters. Would I play it? Abso-freaking-lutely, but I don't know if it could be a commercially successful game. I would say that instead of trying to copy Marvel Rivals' success, try to figure out what game genre you could maybe be the next Marvel Rivals in, instead of replacing Marvel Rivals. I think that would be probably a better strategy going forward. And although those parts are definitely quite exciting to hear James Gunn and Peter Safran talk about, they did also pour some actual cold water on the entire thing by saying that all of these projects are at least a couple of years away, which is definitely a bummer, because it basically means that there's really nothing that is far along in development. They do go on ahead and say that there are some stuff coming up soon that is exciting as well, which I'm definitely happy to hear about, because I'm hoping that maybe one of the Warner Brothers studios that wasn't mentioned in any of these meetings is TT Games. I'm hopeful that maybe they are working on a Lego Batman game or a new Lego DC game. That would be a pretty fun announcement in the near future to hear about. And as far as other things that are just around the corner, we literally had James Gunn specifically go on ahead and mention that he has been reviewing designs of skins and concept skins for Fortnite, which is obviously pretty freaking awesome, because as of late, there have not been all that many new collaborations for DC and Fortnite. So if you're a Fortnite fan, that's at least something to be excited about. I would imagine with how much hype there is around this James Gunn Superman movie, I'd be absolutely shocked if we don't end up getting a Superman skin releasing maybe that same weekend when the movie releases. And beyond that, please finally give us Red Hood as a skin in Fortnite. I think that would be absolutely freaking awesome. And yes, I'm also sure that as far as things that are coming up soon, they're probably talking to other games like, like Call of Duty or like Roblox, like basically any of these big games that are known for doing a lot of collaborations. They're probably talking to those games as well about including some more DC characters as part of their roster and as part of their cosmetics. So I definitely think that that is something that we can expect in the near future. And then, of course, as far as the further future, we have some bigger projects to expect from those previously mentioned big studios like NetherRealm and Rocksteady. Now, speaking of Rocksteady, there have been some exciting developments on that front as well. Rocksteady, of course, was announced to be working on a brand new Batman game by, once again, Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, who said that after the failure of the Squad game, Rocksteady went back to Warner Brothers and pitched a solo Batman game, and that was greenlit, and that is the game that they are now working on since they finished work on the Squad game. Now, that was old news, but this week we also got a gaming leaker by the name of Lunatic Ignis. I hope I'm saying that right. I'll just have the name on the screen, that way you guys can check it out for yourself. But this person went ahead and expanded on some more details when it comes to this upcoming Rocksteady Batman game. Some of it are very exciting, and some of it, if you're an Xbox fan, you're probably about to scream at the cloud. So let's get into it. This person goes on ahead and first and foremost says that yes, it is true, Rocksteady is indeed developing a brand new Batman game, and excitingly so, this one, instead of being based in the Arkham realm, will actually be based in the Batman Beyond universe. So it seems like we're going to be traveling a little bit into the future to give us a bit of a different feel and vibe. I've been saying that for months, that I think that is exactly what they should do. In fact, I think that's what they should have done instead of the squad game. I think that it allows you to have a brand new Batman with new gadgets, with a new rogues gallery, obviously still dipping into some of the classics from Batman's rogue gallery as well. You have a really cool dynamic between Terry and Bruce as far as the mentor and mentee role. I think all of that would be really cool. You've got a new Batmobile to work with. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer to do what they are doing here. In fact, it's also really interesting that this leaker points out that this game series is indeed going to be a series, similarly to how Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight was Rocksteady's Arkham trilogy. They're hoping to make this Batman Beyond game series also a trilogy of games. But here's where the bad news comes in if you're an Xbox fan. And that is that PlayStation has allegedly secured the exclusivity rights for this particular game and will be launching it exclusively on the PlayStation platform. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a PlayStation fanboy. I will definitely admit that I play most of my games on PlayStation. That is my preferred platform. However, I'm actually kind of bummed out about this news. The fact that both Spider-Man and Batman, the two biggest superheroes in the world outside of probably Superman, are restricted to just the PlayStation platform is a bummer. I will say that obviously now that PlayStation has been releasing a lot of their games on PC, that's a little bit of the silver lining here, in the sense that we're probably going to get this Batman Beyond Arkham, or whatever they end up calling it, game on PC platforms as well. So at least that's a good thing, I suppose. I do hope that maybe this is more a case of like timed exclusivity, where maybe PlayStation has the exclusive rights for this game for like a year, kind of like how Microsoft did with Tomb Raider, but then after a year, the game will be available on Xbox as well. That way, as many people as possible get to enjoy Batman in video game form. So again, in typical DC video game fashion, we've got a mixed bag, where there's some good things and some exciting things to look forward to, but also some negative stories around as well. So let me know what you guys think of all the latest news when it comes to DC video games down in the comment section below. What do you think about all the developments that have happened over the last 48 hours or so? Of course, in addition to that, like I mentioned at the top of the video, if you could take a quick moment and leave a like, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you so very much for your kindness and your support. Consider sharing the video with a fellow DC video game fan. And of course, like always, I will hopefully catch you guys here on the next one. Peace out. I'll see y'all later, alligators.